clean that up. And there we go. We should be good to go. I think the audio levels are good from my last cast, but I'll keep an eye on them. Let me know in chat if something's a little funky. Yeah, so this is Sanitys Eclipse versus the TheGreyWolves. I believe both of these teams are playing at the heroic bracket. If I remember Sanitys Eclipse's MMR correctly. I don't believe I've cast the TheGreyWolves, so this will be the first time I'm casting them. And it'll be the first time I'm casting either of these two teams in the Season 11 tournament for AD2L. So I'm sure both of these teams are looking to get off on the right foot as they get underway here for the first best of 2 matchup. Sanitys Eclipse opening with a very peculiar ban on the Omni Knight. I suspect that's something that they've done their research on, and something the TheGreyWolves likes to run, because an Omni ban is not something you see every day. An Omni pick isn't something you see every day, despite the fact that Omni Knight has one of the highest win rates in at least Pub Dota. In Pro Dota, not so much, but the ability to turn all of your allies pretty much immortal is pretty useful, especially when you combine that with the heal and the repel mechanics that he has. So it's a strong hero, no doubt, but it's not played very often. So I suspect that's one that they've done their homework on, they've spied out, and they want to get rid of. Omni Knight has in Pub Dota, a 61% win rate. Despite having such a dominant win percentage, he's 33rd in popularity amongst all of the Dota 2 heroes. So, not something you see very much, and that 60% win rate is true pretty much across the board in terms of MMR, all the way from, you know, your 1K trash brackets up through your mid-range 3-4K where yours truly resides, into the 5K plus where them pros and semi-pros reside. It's 60% win rate across the board. So, but that's neither here nor there, as it is going to be removed from the game. Sanitys Eclipse instead opting to pick up the Nature's Prophet and the Wind Ranger, 2 heroes that are going to be able to provide both a significant amount of hero damage as well as pick-off potential. You have the Nature's Prophet capable of teleporting around the map as needed and throwing people into that sprout prison, keeping them locked down, as well as just contributing some damage overall in every team fight with his Wrath of Nature and the global ability. My favorite aspect of that is when you steal kills without even trying. You're just trying to farm your lane, and a fight breaks out 5-10 seconds later, and by the time your Wrath of Nature bounces over to where that fight's occurring, you get yourself a free kill. So that's always fun. Wind Ranger bringing the ever dangerous Shackle Shot into the mix is going to be able to lock down 1 to 2 heroes, and her Power Shot is going to be able to cleave through even heroes who like to hide inside of invisibility stuff like Sandstorm. So Sand King, who can use that Sandstorm mechanic as a temporary reprieve to hide himself and sit inside of the invisibility, can still be power shot down. Focus Fire on the Wind Ranger going to provide additional push into those towers, as if the Nature's Prophet treants weren't enough. You have on the dire side of the map, the TheGreyWolves operating so far with Team Mini Ravage, as the procasters would call it, with the Lion Ravage, aka Earth Spike, and the Sand King Ravage, aka Burrow Strike. So, a couple striking gentlemen over there. You like them puns? Okay, I'm done for now.
5 seconds remain.
Anyway, Sand King bringing some team fight mechanics into the mix as well with Epicenter. Lion going to be more your single target pick-off support hero. Lion likely going to be your position 5, which Sand King is position 4, unless the TheGreyWolves opt to go with something hyper aggressive and put Sand King as a dedicated jungler and go with 3 more cores. But I think that would be a little bit dangerous in this meta, just because committing to a jungler who can't offer substantial impact in the mid game, so anyone outside of an Enigma, maybe an Enchantress, but even Enchantress and Chen, if you put them into the jungle, you expect them to come out fairly early and start contributing to tower push. If you throw Sand King in there and you just kind of wait for him to farm up Blink Dagger or something, he's not as impactful as you would hope. And by throwing the jungler into the woods for the first 10 minutes, you shortchange your laning phase entirely. And with Sanitys Eclipse lineup, you have Nature's Prophet, who has teleport. You have Spectre, who has Haunt and Reality, so he'll be able to be everywhere on the map at the same time as well. So they have a... outside of... Actually, they could do that. If they put Nature's Prophet in the jungle, Wind Ranger off lane, Spectre safe lane, they could do an IO tiny mid, and then they would have a truly hyper global, hyper mobile group here. But I highly doubt that's what's going to happen. And yeah, it's not going to be the case, as they do pick up a silencer. Still 4 cores so far on Sanitys Eclipse. I mean, I'm sure either the Wind Ranger or the silencer can be played into that 4th position pseudo support role. But nothing. They're ready to reveal their hand right away, showing off the Spectre, and they ban out the Darkseer and the Magnus in their second round of bans here, presumably trying to deprive the TheGreyWolves of any sort of synergy with that Epicenter. TheGreyWolves picking up the other popular hard carry of the meta, that being Sven. Anytime you go to pick up a Spectre or a Sven, the other team's going to answer in kind, unless you're able to ban out one or the other. The other one who's pretty popular right now as a counter to those two is the Slark, with the intent of your team just kind of snowballing out of control before the Spectre or the Sven come online fully. Both heroes do need a little bit of farm to come online, but right now it's kind of Team Stun versus Team Global, as they have Lion, Sand King, and Sven going up against the globals of Silencer, Spectre, and Nature's Prophet. Trying to think of any. Maybe if I were the TheGreyWolves, I might get rid of AA. They don't have any true heal mechanics over on Sanitys Eclipse, but it's that extra bit of global that Sanitys Eclipse might be looking for here in their position 5 support. But then again, it may not be what they're after, since they already have so much global. You might not want to put all of your eggs into one basket. They have plenty of tower damage, so maybe they just need a true stun. Vengeful Spirit right now is the highest picked hero in the game and the professional circuit, with 708 games under her belt and an impressive 55% win rate. So I think that'd be a good pickup for Sanitys Eclipse, who ban out the puck, identifying that the TheGreyWolves do need a mid, and they're kind of continuing their thought process of not wanting anything to synergize with that Epicenter or kind of an AoE team fight mechanic. You're going to have Bristleback spraying quills, you're going to have Sven throwing stuns. So I think Sanitys Eclipse are going to be looking for some team fights, but it's going to be more on their own terms, more of a spread out team fight encounter, where they're able to kite and pick people off one at a time, instead of just kind of murder ball 5-manning all together down a single lane. And the TheGreyWolves do ban out a position 5 support, but they opt to get rid of the Dazzle. And it's a Techies coming out from Sanitys Eclipse with no hesitation. They're like, alright, we didn't want Dazzle, we wanted a Techies. Okay, so since the TheGreyWolves are looking for a mid hero, I have to say Zeus is the answer here. It has to be Zeus. It gives them some additional magic damage. It's actually not bad against Wind Ranger, who has those evasion mechanics to counteract Sven and Bristleback to a certain degree. He's able to nuke repetitively, and they go with a Death Prophet. So still a fair amount of magical damage there. The Exorcism, the Crypt Swarm, still able to deal with those evasion mechanics, still able to get through the Treant Sprout, that sort of stuff. She does not have... Oh, thank you, Dota. The Death Prophet does not have any way of revealing the Techies' minds, so they are going to be reliant on Zeus picking up a whole hell of a lot of wards. And it looks like I was not the only one. And it looks like multiple people crashed as we loaded into this game here. But we are back. Both teams... I take that back. We're not back. Sand Kings dropped 200 buck PC casuals. Alright, looks like Sand King's reconnected. Everyone's measuring their PC powers here as we talk about our future builds, the cost of our power supplies, and anything else to pass the time here as both teams load up. You have pings coming out from Pink saying they're going to be going after the top room. And we'll go through introductions here, starting with Sanitys Eclipse. So, starting on the Radiant side, you have Jet Sajuro playing the Silencer. You have Wind Ranger being played by I Like That Panda. On the Unexpected Techies, you have Bottom of the Moon. So a little double of the moon. Of the moon, of the moon. On the Nature's Prophet, you have Yillis. Pings coming out from both teams here as Techies lays his minds. They think they might be in the side shop. They think they might be over here in the common ward spot. They're just not sure. But really, there's only one mine, so there's not a whole lot of damage that'll be coming out. And Sven's just going to walk right into it. He drops the half, and then the Sand King goes ahead and pokes the Clarity Potion off of the Techies, who looks like he's going to be solo laning against the Sven Sand King line, so that is a dangerous proposition. But continuing introductions here in the bot lane, taking a little damage himself, is Kiki playing the Spectre. And across the river in the off lane for Wolfpack, you have Not Wolf of the Wolfpack. So if he's not Wolf, I don't know what he is. Wind Ranger stealing the bounty rune from underneath the nose of the Death Prophet and the Bristleback, but she's gonna pay with about half of her health pool there as she gets siphoned by the Death Prophet, who is going to be played by Umbernox here in the middle lane. And then up top in the tri lane, protecting this Sven, making sure he gets all the farm he needs. You have NPC playing the Sand King, the Night Wolf playing the Lion, and in your position 1 hard carry role on the side of the Dire, you have Garner playing the Sven. Pulling up some last hits here. Alright. And we are into the mix here as Techies tries to bait people over to his little mine stack, but it's being pinged out aggressively. They know where it's at, they know what's up, and they're not going to be playing around over there anytime soon. Meanwhile, Lion, knowing that Techies doesn't pose any real threat to Sven, is going to take this time just to stack up some camps and make sure that the Sven has plenty to fall back on. Oh, and that's going to be your first blood here as Techies secures himself first blood by suiciding into the Sand King after eating multiple stuns. And he is rewarded with 400 gold. So not too shabby. And Bristleback in the bottom lane here is trying to stand toe-to-toe with the Silencer, who's going to have that Arcane Curse in 3 seconds. You have the Spectral Dagger coming out from Spectre, but it's going to be too little too late, and the Bristles have stacked up enough that Bristleback secures himself a fairly easy kill, just walks away, sells up, and he's back at full health, sitting down here against the Spectre, who might be in danger here, but the Bristleback only has enough mana for 2 quills here, so it looks like he'll actually be fine. And now Jet comes back, and he continues to play aggressive, just getting in the face, in the back of this Bristleback. The dagger's out, the curse is out. It brings them low, down to 150, but he's going to slowly trudge his way back to the Tier 1 tower and be fine. This Techie's desperately trying to pull people over to his mines, but they know what's going on. They're not going to fall for that old trick. They know better than that, Techies. Meanwhile, Yillis is hanging out in his own jungle, throwing out these fungus-looking treants and tanking up the golems here, and as he jungle farms, and he's going to deprive his lane of, or his team. Oh, Techie's going in for a possible kill here, and he's actually just trying to pull people into the mines. And Yillis teleports up next to the Lion, and they're going to be able to just right-click him down. The Sand King trying to avoid mines, so trying to avoid danger here, but Techie throws one right on top of his face, and then goes and hides behind his stacks here. He knows there's a sentry ward, so he's actually going to drag the creep wave into his mines, and he is now on the run for his life as 3 stuns chase him down. In the bot lane, I missed it, but Spectre was able to pick off a kill against the Bristleback in combination with his Silencer. Power Shot is going to connect from the low ground here, but Techie's finally gets enough for his suicide, or his suicide finally comes off cooldown, but he's stunned by Lion, stunned by Sand King, hexed by Lion, and doesn't get the spell off. So he does legitimately fall this time.
Bottom tower is under attack.
But I guess that's where you go space created, as they were able to kill a Lion to start that very long engagement, and in the bottom lane, Spectre was able to secure himself a kill against the Bristleback. So essentially a 2-for-1 trade is they're able to get Techies. And yep, the other kill was the Silencer, so that one we did see. Speaking of Silencer getting killed in the bottom lane here, 1 or 2 more bristles here is going to be enough. It looks like 1 was the answer, as Nightwolf is going to continue the chase here, going after Nature's Prophet, but that curse is still on him, the dagger's on him, he gets sprouted for a second time, and despite the quills sticking out of both the Spectre and the Nature's Prophet, he does go down, paying for his greed as he chose to dive instead of run for the hills there after securing that silencer kill. In this top lane, you have a smoke coming out from the stun duo Sand King and Lion. Techies does have suicide, so they're just trying to stack these stuns on top of one another, but they're not able to do so well enough. The suicide comes out, and Techies is able to pick off the Sand King and actually do a ton of damage to both the Sven and a fair amount to the Lion. So that exchange definitely going in favor of the Techies, who is prioritizing that suicide over all else, and even throwing some right-click damage here onto the Sven. You know that Techies right-click damage, it's very lethal. You need to be careful when you're around a Techies with an Arcana. That's the part that really makes it dangerous. Death Prophet utilizing double damage here and bottling up as well, but is going to sit on Exorcism, not ready to push it quite yet. And as she escapes, she eats a power shot, dropping her pretty low. She plants a happy little tree and eats that, and then she eats one of those global spells from the Nature's Prophet, who also teleports in, sprouts her up, locks her in position, and then the power shot cuts through her and the trees alike as Yillis and I Like That Panda get in position to counter push this middle lane. Pinks come out on the middle tier 3, not quite at the tier 3 level yet, the middle tier 1 tower. As I Like That Panda and Yillis push down the creep wave, and Lion has now made his rotation, as has Sand King, and they're going to open it up with a stun against I Like That Panda, but it's Spectre who haunts in, and Wind Granger just turns around, blasts a power shot through the face of Lion, and down he goes. So the two supports showing up, trying to chase out the aggressors, and winds up costing them their lives there. In the top lane, you had Techies suiciding once again, bringing Sven super low, and it's going to force him to teleport back as Yillis teleports to the top lane in search of the Sven, who has already left. Meanwhile, on the bot lane, you have Jet versus Not Wolf, and Bristleback's trying to get close enough there to land a sprout, but not close enough. In this middle lane here, danger continues to build for the Wind Ranger, who's hanging out in the lane despite only having 160 HP and landing power shot after power shot on this Death Prophet. So it's keeping both of these mid heroes low. Death Prophet does have the bottle though, so I think she just missed vision on that bottom rune. I don't know why she wouldn't have checked that, being so close. And Jet diving underneath the tower is actually going to come within one tower shot of death there, as he falls to 30 HP. And all the heroes on the the Radiant side, on the side of Sanitys Eclipse, do seem to be hanging out with 100-200 health. Not really worried about things, but if any of these stun monsters find them that low, they're going to pay for it with their lives. Remote mines being built up by Techies here in the middle of the lane. Death Prophet, Sven, and Lion all come forward, and he opens it up with a double kill, connecting on both the Sven and the Lion, and then walks forward, suicides into the Death Prophet, giving him a triple kill, as he was able to leverage both the remote mine stack and the suicide to explode down Sven, Lion, and Death Prophet. So it's a 3 for a suicide, as Techies continues to actually match the Sven in terms of net worth, both of them sitting around 2,900. In the bot lane here, you have Kiki diving onto Not Wolf as Yillis teleports in and Silencer's right behind him, but the Quills are starting to stack up for Kiki, who will likely fall here if one more Quills goes off, and it does, but he was able to get just outside of the Quill range, and so he survives, and it's the Bristleback who falls in this bottom lane as Kiki once again gets away with sub 100 HP. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, you look away for a second, and I like that Panda pushes the lane all the way to the tier 2 tower. So with 4 heroes dead on the side of Wolfpack, Sanitys, Eclipse looks to press their advantage and play hyper aggressive. Nox taking a little bit of damage from the creep wave here. It's going to be sitting at about half HP. She's opted for the arcane boots to allow her to continuously blast that crypt swarm down the lane and hopefully nuke the Wind Ranger away from her tier 2 tower, so she's not playing quite so aggressive. Taking a look at the inventory here, you do have a sentry ward up on Lion, but it's just one for now, and I'm not seeing where the rest of this vision would be. Taking a look at the vision, you see it's kind of right across the river here. Sanitys, Eclipse have a good line of sight. They don't have vision up on very many heroes right now, but it's enough. It's enough to find this Death Prophet, who does get caught by a shackle shot there, and I missed it. Where did the Spectre go? The Spectre actually haunted up to the Sand King and to the Lion, getting herself a double kill. So it was the Spectre illusion that actually killed the Death Prophet, as her true hero haunted up to the supports who were just above them. And Wind Ranger power shotting over the high ground, over the hills, through the woods, to Lion's house. The power shot goes, and it wound up securing her a kill as well. And just like that, Sanitys Eclipse continued to leverage this opening with multiple heroes down to press into the enemy tier 2 tower. And you can see this non-stop aggression. Keep in mind, we are only 13 minutes into this game, and Sanitys Eclipse are already successfully taking tier 2 towers. They have 14 kills, 15 kills under their belt. That's more than one a minute. And Wolf are just trying to recover here. With Exorcism on the roll, Yillis is just trying to buy space for Jet as they actually drag heroes back to the Techies Mines. They haven't popped them yet, so a late Techies Mines actually cost Nature's Prophet his life, but the Techies does get himself a double kill, and now it's a 3 versus 1 as they pump arrows and damage into the Bristleback, who isn't feeling too worse for wear, so he's still happy to exchange for a little bit here until the Techies rotates in. And you don't want to have to verse the Techies, who suicides into the side of the Bristleback, who does eventually fall there to the Silencer curse, with the assistance of Yillis pumping in some right-click damage as well as the Wrath of Nature. And with that, the Wolfpack is pretty much relegated to the den of their base. Sven, the only hero on the map right now. You can see everyone else from Wolfpack just making their way back out. So if he's not careful, it looks like Yillis and squad are going to make a move on him, and they do sprout him up. They right-click. Up comes the Wind Ranger. He throws out the shackle shot. It's a second too late, so it doesn't latch onto anything. The Sprout Prison wasn't there, and all of these trees over here had been cut down by Nature's Prophet beforehand to generate those treants, so there was nothing for it to latch onto. So that's some of the lost synergy you get between a Nature's Prophet and a Wind Ranger, but it's all for the greater good. You can see Nature's Prophet here positioning one of his treants behind the creep wave to pull aggro from this, and he'll likely just pull this down, or in this case, pull it back away down the lane. It'll run into a line, so it'll eventually fall here, but not before Nature's Prophet's able to take this tower. I guess not, because he moved his entire creep wave into the side here. He just kind of stalled out the Sven, but it's good old Cardi that winds up taking the tower, buying time for the rest of Sanity's Eclipse to rotate, get in position, or use their globals to show up. And they get in position, but NPC rolling with the epicenter is going to put out quite a bit of damage, secure a kill for himself on the Wind Ranger, but it's at the cost of a Sven and Lion so far, and they know where this Sand King is at, so they're throwing a curse. NPC tries to Burrow Strike out, and he screws it up, but it doesn't matter since he's able to dodge. Did they not see? No, they can see right there. You can see right there in the lane. So I suspected the Sand King to kind of, shoot into the woods where the Spectre had thrown his dagger, but instead he either alligator arms it or something and just kind of burrows in place almost right into that little cove of the trees, which you can still see through.
Dyer's bottom
But
tower
he is able to get the teleport off and back into his base. Techie's suiciding once again into the Death Prophet's able to secure a kill. Shackle shot slightly off the mark as Notwolf had been hugging the absolute edge of the map there. And then he drags the rest of the Radiant team into the waiting arms of the Sand King, who Burrow Strikes and then Sandstorms. And right now he's just kind of a non-factor over here as Kiki and the rest of the Sanitys Eclipse squad chase after the Lion, then lock down the Bristleback, and now Sand King shows up, misses a Burrow Strike, and goes back to Sandstorming. Call him DJ Darude over here. But he's surrounded by 4 heroes, and he might do his little tiny Burrow Strike into the Knot trees. Let's see him do it again. There's the Burrow Strike, there's the Blink. And they go looking for him where the Burrow Strike was, and it's not there, so they are very close to seeing him. Nope, Kiki's going to miss him. The curse actually does connect. And while I'm watching this slow hunt on the Sand King, I miss Wind Ranger picking off the Death Prophet as they continue to push forward into this tower. And that Sand King's still trapped over there, blinking forward. He's going to watch the Nature's Prophets teleport out right in front of him before getting the Burrow Strike off. The dagger is thrown, and it gets him down to 9 HP as he sandstorms to try to disjoint it, I guess, and the Haunt is there, and he doesn't even need to reality into it to get the kill. Just a Zeus ulti coming out from Spectre, securing him the kill. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane here, you have the forward-playing techies dropping mines right on top of the creep wave, right next to the tower, taking big chunks out of it. Between him and Nature's Prophet, they're going to be able to roll up this tier 1 tower without any defense coming out from the Wolfpack. They actually walk forward and are looking to pressure this tier 2 tower. Pink's coming out from the Bristleback onto the Nature's Prophet, but they know better than to chase into that. Meanwhile, Wind Ranger sporting an invisibility rune is going to see Yillis in trouble by the Sven. Yillis able to create some separation between him and Sven with that Sprout, and now Wind Ranger showing up, landing and connecting that shackle shot onto the trees is going to provide enough stun for the Spectre and Wind Ranger to bring him to his grave. Teleports top, looks to push this creep wave back, and it's just non-stop pressure. You can see here, we're still only 19 minutes into the game. Sanity's Eclipse dominating the game so far, 27-5. They've only lost 2 towers, the mid and the bot, and they've got their eyes set on the 5th outer tower on Wolfpack as they get ready to apply the pressure that their team was designed to apply. Specifically, get those towers early and often off the back of these treants, off the back of Techie's mines, and of course Techie's buying a ton of space with 2 times now he's been able to secure a triple kill
Dyer's top tower has fallen.
in a combination of remote mines and suicides. But a smoke coming out from Wolfpack is going to spot out the treant from Nature's Prophet. Epicenter coming out from the Sand King. He is going to be able to cut off the Spectre. The Global Silence is out, and it's going to actually... the Sprout's going to trap both the Bristleback and the Death Prophet there. Death Prophet dies, but it's not without its cost, as they're able to secure a 2-for-2 trade so far until Techie suicides in, yielding him a kill against the Bristleback. And Yillis on the tail of Nature's Prophet here is going to continue to poke him down, and the Sprout on the high ground is going to lock him down long enough for Jet and Yillis to finish him off. So it looks like that was a 4? A 4 for 3? 4? This fight's been going quite a while. What? Where did Sand King go? Sand King somehow died over here? If I look for his hero icon, okay, well, somehow Sand King died in his base. I didn't see the teleport. It appears to be on cooldown, so I don't know if Ice Frog's just let me down again or what. But it doesn't matter, as this game is now 32-7. Despite my fear, let's go ahead and take a look at the net worth chart, and you can see it is a one-way street to Profit Town for Sanitys Eclipse, as they are 14k ahead at the 22-minute mark. And it's not like Sanitys Eclipse don't have an answer for the late game either. They have Wind Ranger, who scales fairly well. They have... oh, Techies, with your single remote mine, stealing the kill there. Meanwhile, Spectre was able to get a kill on the Lion, presumably just through his illusions. I didn't see him actually get anything else off there. While Yillis fearlessly teleporting behind the Tier 3 tower, and then teleporting out right in front of the Sand King and the Sven. And now it's Spectre and Wind Ranger just kind of walking out of the base, as Silencer decides, hey, you know what? I like the teleport in the enemy base game. He walks up to the high ground and teleports out himself, because that's what all the cool kids are doing. This is your teleport home spot. Everybody knows that. If you're going to teleport home, it has to be behind Tier 3 towers. So far,
Dyer's bottom tower
interesting game, dominant game. And I think they're going to go after this last Tier 3 tower. I don't think they're going to look to Roche or anything here. They have Techies doing the Techies thing, dropping all of his mana items, throwing down a whole bunch of mines. And it is going to yield him a quick kill against the Bristleback, as GG is called by the Nightwolf on the back of that Bristleback death. Oh, that's unfortunate. A celebration suicide coming out from Techies in the last seconds of the game. And that is game one going the way of Sanitys Eclipse. You saw a very unorthodox 5th position Techies pickup coming out from Sanitys Eclipse. And you know what? It worked out very well for them. They controlled the lanes in the mid, they controlled the lanes in the bot. I'd say that was kind of a wash in the laning phase overall. But Techies somehow was able to secure kill after kill for himself in the top lane, and excellent rotations from Yillis on the Nature's Prophet throughout the game. It shows there in his assist, with 22 assists, almost an assist per minute throughout the duration of this match. So he was Visa. Yillis wins the Visa Award everywhere you want to be, with Spectre coming in a close second with his 18 assists. The unexpected play of the game has to be the Techies pick in general, though, and the multiple triple kills that he was able to pull off throughout. So, hope you enjoyed Game 1 here between Sanitys Eclipse and the Wolfpack. I am Darmin, coming to you live on twitch.tv/DarminCast. Thank you very much for tuning in. We will be back shortly for Game 2 between these two teams in the Season 11 AD2L Heroic matchup. Stay tuned. I'm going to kick off some music, and we'll be back shortly. Thanks.